world smothered it, taught me to cover it up, eventually became ashamed to be naked.
Thanks for joining me on my new chat show, which is called Question Your Reality. I am Nadine Sable Sky. I'm the Naked Life Coach. I'm the author of a few books, a couple of which I have here today with me. My main philosophy, Living the Naked Life, and my time management book. So you can find those on my website, which is www.thenakedlifecoach.com. I appreciate you all tuning in tonight. We've got 25 viewers joined in. This is my second time on the webcam, so still getting used to it a little bit. Had some technical difficulties earlier with the sound. My topic tonight, I posted, if you look up on the comments, I posted a little bit of information about the show. Just some real quick kind of guidelines, if you will. I am naked. This is not, however, a sex show of any sort, so comments, questions, or requests of that sort will simply be ignored. It is a talk show about life, and pretty much any type of serious question you have about life or naked life coaching, I'm happy to answer. I will talk for about 10 to 15 minutes or so on the topic of tonight, which is my blog post West of Eden, and then I'll open for questions. I don't check private messages during the show, so please put all your comments in the chat window so that everybody can read them, and so I don't have to flip back and forth. I don't do private conversations during the show. I am open for private sessions after the show. If you're interested, then private message me and I'll check those after the show is over. And other than that, like I said, I'll get to all the other questions after my topic of tonight. So the topic of tonight is my blog post titled West of Eden, and it's basically what I think about the whole Adam and Eve mythos. And I called it West of Eden because I'm in the West, so-called Western world, and I have not lived in any other culture. I read a lot, but it's still not the same as living in other cultures. So I don't know how much, and that's one of the things I want to address tonight, is how much this mythos has affected your culture if you're in another part of the world. Here in the United States, we have what seems like a pretty secular culture on the outside, but there's a lot of this stuff, even if you weren't raised in a Christian household, a lot of this Christian mythos has kind of pervaded the culture, whether people are consciously or not. I mean, it's pretty well recognized actually, hold on, I'm going to cover up this chat window because I'm getting distracted. So it's pretty well recognized in the Western culture, if you make reference to Adam and Eve or to Eden. So what I think is my personal concept of what I think about the story of Adam and Eve and their departure from the Garden of Eden, the downfall of man, as many have called it, is that it is illustrative of a concept, I think, and that is what I believe, that we all create our own reality. If you're not real familiar with my concepts, I urge you to check out my books, check out my website. But basically, I believe that we all create our own reality, and we're always doing this, constantly, 24/7, whether we are conscious of it or not. So that's the catch, right? Whether we're consciously creating it or not, we are creating it by our beliefs, by our words, by our thoughts, by our feelings, by our actions. All of those combine and kind of put forth an energy into the world that creates the reality that we go forth and experience. So this story of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden is illustrative of that, I think, because if you're familiar with it, basically, after Adam and Eve were created, they knew no evil. They only knew good. They literally, it says, in the Bible, it says they walked and talked with God. There was no strife, no struggle, no hardship. Anything they wanted was immediately available right then and there. And I think that the whole story of the fall, in the biblical account, Eve was tempted by the serpent, and they had anything they could want in the Garden of Eden, with one caveat: they were not supposed to eat any fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So it's kind of weird that the tree would be called that, because in the garden all they would have had was knowledge of good. I mean, they had anything they want, everything was good. So when Eve was tempted and ate this fruit, she was tempted by the promise that you will be like gods. And so she ate this fruit, the tree of, let's just call it the tree of knowledge of evil. Because prior to that, all they had was knowledge of good. There was no comparison. So she eats this fruit, and now all of a sudden there is knowledge of evil. And of course, the first God finds out about it is when he's walking in the garden looking for them, and they hide from him because they suddenly realize that they're naked and become ashamed. Now, why should nakedness be shaming? First off, they were naked before and they weren't ashamed because it was good, right? Everything was good. There was no knowledge of evil in the world. So it seems like this very fact, this knowledge, this addition of the knowledge of evil into the equation is what allowed evil to come in. Of course, that makes sense. If we all create our own reality, then we can only create based on what we have knowledge of, what we believe, what we think about, what we feel about, what we talk about, and what we take action about. So prior to that, having no knowledge of evil, there could be no evil created. So the challenge for creating your own reality, creating only the reality you desire to experience, which I would hope, for most of us, the desire is to experience a good reality, or what we would call good. So the challenge is to erase all concept of evil from your mind, from your thoughts, from your beliefs, from your words, from your feelings, from your actions. And one of the most helpful tools that I've found to do that is simply to eliminate some words from my vocabulary, thus making my dialogue conscious. And when you become conscious of the words that you're using, it forces you to become conscious of the thoughts that you're having that inspire those words. So to eliminate a few simple words from our vocabulary is a challenge. It really is. However, the rewards can be tremendous. So those words to eliminate are the word not, N-O-T, which is a short for nothing, and all combinations thereof. So like can't, won't, don't, all of those are contractions: cannot, will not, do not. So just eliminate the word not and try seeing how that affects you. And of course, like I said, it's going to be a challenge. You've got to watch what's coming out of your mouth and make it a conscious habit to speak only in the affirmative. So rather than saying, I don't want to go see that show tonight, you would say, I want to stay home, or I want to do something else. Speak only of what you do want. And the other word to eliminate is try. I know I just accidentally used it myself. That one still slips in even in my vocabulary sometimes. So you want to eliminate the word try. Like Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try. So try doesn't really exist. It's a fake word. Um, and another one to eliminate is the word should, as in I should do this or you should do that. So eliminate that word as well. You either want to do it or you don't want to do it. However, should is just a word that is used to promote guilt. So I'm going to open the chat to discussion now, and I'd like your comments on what, especially if you're from another country watching this, I'd like your comments on what the Eden, the story of the fall of man, that if that whole mythos has had an effect on your culture. Okay, so Prince Gucci says Eve created sin. Prince, why do you say that? I'm not saying, okay, so Prince said, so you feel Eve was wrong or right? No, I'm not saying that she was wrong or right. I'm saying that it wasn't Eve that created it. It was the knowledge of evil which came into the world. Prior to that, okay, based on my belief that we all create our own reality, prior to that knowledge coming in, there could be only good created because they only had knowledge of good. You can only create what you have knowledge of. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for Eve, right? Well, probably technically true. I guess if there were no problems in the world, then there wouldn't be any need for life coaching. Of course, who knows then what I'd be doing. I could be living in Eden right now, and I think that if Eve hadn't eaten that fruit, somebody would have been tempted eventually. They weren't the only two people in the world forever, I think that, and I'm not up on the historical timeline if of Adam and Eve. I don't know if they had children at that time. They say good knows, I'm assuming you mean God. They say God knows our actions before we do. Well, my concept of what God is a little bit different from most people's. My conception of what God is that everything is one energy. It's indivisible, okay? So my body, this pillow, the couch, the painting, the house, the trees outside, the land, everything, the earth, from the earth to the furthest star in the universe is one energy. So that energy is indivisible, even though it manifests into different objects with different vibrations. That energy is still all one. So that is what I believe God is. And so in that sense, yes, because that energy is indivisible, there is no separation. So, and I believe there's no time either. So everything is known to that energy or within that energy. There's no separation. And Jacob321 Boom says, wow, what a deep combo to fall into here. Yeah, a little bit. I'm sure that most of the people you usually see on this website are not doing naked philosophy. But thanks for joining us. So does anyone else have any questions or comments about the topic tonight? About the concept of good and evil, the story of the fall of man, if that's affected your culture, if you're in a different culture than me, I'd like to know about it, or even if you're in the same one. Even in America, there's still so many different cultures across the country. My Big 20 said, I'm confused, a one-on-one coaching session on what? I offer, your life. I offer naked life coaching, and I pretty much address all topics, anything that you want to work on changing or improving in your life. So everything from relationships to health to wealth to time management. As you saw, I have my book on that. To enlightenment, different types of emotional and mental management. Okay, so Prince says, why does God say lust is a sin but make women so pretty? I think if everybody was nude and we saw women nude every day, we would not lust. Well, you make a very good point, and in many cultures around the world where nudity is more acceptable, there is less there's less lust, as you might call it. Now, as far as God saying lust is a sin, I'm not sure that he actually said that. The Ten Commandments, one of the Ten Commandments is not to covet, but it doesn't say anything about lust. I don't. It's been probably, let's see, 9 years since I last read the Bible, so I may not be correct. However, I don't believe it says anything in there about sex being a sin. I think that's more dogmatic religious teaching, not actual biblical teaching. I do know that in cultures where there is better sex education and also more sexual freedom, there is less violent crime, there's less rapes, and so that's probably less lust. The question about the Bible, well, it wasn't a phrase about the Bible, but the question was, why does God say lust is a sin but make women so pretty? And I was saying, I don't believe that God said lust was a sin. I don't think that's in the Bible. Not that I think, I also don't think that the Bible is the only and complete Word of God, as many Christians say. And I know the verse that they base that on, but it's kind of funny because if that verse were taken literally, it would totally invalidate the entire Bible's existence. So just a little tidbit for you. Okay, so Prince Gucci said, I need help. I can't shop without looking at women and it bothers me. Well, that's something I'd be happy to help you address in a private coaching session for sure. You said, I feel weak. So, yeah. That's definitely something that I can help you address in private coaching. Curly JP says, are you having a group session next week in Phoenix? And the answer is yes. I have a group session now. I changed the day, so it's every Monday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at my home in Phoenix. Oh, okay. So Deaf Guy 1 said lust is a natural urge, just like crying after watching Old Yeller. And Wiccan Witch said, and bring the pagans into the church. So for those of you just tuning in, this is I'm Nadine Sable Sky. I'm the Naked Life Coach and the author of 3 books, of which I have 2 of them here with me. My main philosophy, which is Living the Naked Life, and my little companion volume, which is Time Management, the first of several companion volumes. And this show is called Question Your Reality, and it's all about just what is, what's real, what's true. We have so many different concepts and beliefs and ideologies. So the topic this week is my blog post West of Eden, which is about the concept of the knowledge of evil coming into the world. Again, I believe we all create our own reality, so the concept of evil coming into the world being the basis from which evil was created by us collectively, not that it's some separate force or entity. I'm taking some questions and comments now. Let's see. Prince Gucci said, "Why do you think everyone turning gay or lesbian?" Um, well, I don't think that everyone's turning gay or lesbian. I do think that that people being attracted to their own sex is a normal, natural thing, and that it's existed as long as time has existed, and it's just that people are being more open about it now. If you're familiar with the work of Kinsey, if you've ever heard of the Kinsey reports, which he did back, this is like back near the end of the 1930s, early to mid 1940s. Back then, there was this really big concept of what normal sex constituted, at least here in America, and this whole idea was that the only normal, sane sex was between a husband and wife in the dark, in the missionary position. There wasn't even supposed to be any foreplay, the guy's just supposed to whip it out, stick it in, and girls were just supposed to lay there and do their family duty and not enjoy it. And there was this really weird misconceptions about sex and lies being taught about sex back then. So anyway, Kinsey did his research, and he interviewed over 10,000 men and then 10,000 women, and his report showed that there's no such thing as normal in sexuality. I mean, there's no one thing that's normal. In other words, everything, every permutation, every variety imaginable could be considered normal if we define normal as what the average person is likely to do. So it really opened up people's conceptions about sex, and in a way, I would say he's probably responsible for the sexual revolution which we experienced in this country, and we're still experiencing that today as we gradually grow more open to the idea that there's no such thing as normal. So it's not that I think that people are turning gay now. I think there's just more openness with admitting it. And personally, I think that if we were raised in a culture where there was no cultural programming taking place about sexuality, that we would quite naturally all, or the majority of us, would quite naturally all be bisexual and polyamorous. That's not to say that monogamy wouldn't take place or that heterosexuality wouldn't exist, but I think that the norm or the standard would be more likely to be everybody is bisexual and polyamorous. So that's just my personal opinion, and of course, without raising a group of people from childbirth onwards in a completely sterile, non-cultural environment, which I don't even know how we would do that. Without doing that as an experiment, I can never prove it. But I know that I saw a meme the other day that was pretty cool, and it said over 420 species of animals practice homosexuality, and humans are the only species that practice homophobia. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's pretty common in the animal kingdom. So if the animals do it, it'd be kind of weird if humans didn't, if that makes sense. I'm not advocating that people turn gay or don't turn gay. I'm just saying. Well, there's another. Okay, so Prince Gucci said their animals were human. Well, there's another concept. That's a big one. I think I might have to save that for next. I think I might have to save that for a future show, because that could be a good long show all on its own. Anybody else have any comments or questions about the topic this evening or about naked life coaching? And just as a reminder, the topic is West of Eden, which is my concept that we all create our own reality, and so the only reason that evil exists is because we create it, and the only reason we create it is because we've now got the knowledge of good and evil, where prior to that occurrence we only had knowledge of good. So it's kind of my take on the fall of man, if you will, and I'm curious as to what you think about that whole concept. So, a Wiccan Witch's question was, Eve eats the apple and humans get knowledge. Who says that is evil? The church? Well, in the biblical account, that's what the tree was called, was the knowledge of good and evil. And, well, technically, perhaps, okay, I haven't read the original text, as I don't speak the language it was written in. That translation, which was created by the church or people, you know, whoever compiled the Bible, which actually, if you're aware of history, the Bible as we know it today was actually assembled by the Roman government, not the church, the Council of Constantine. So, or I'm sorry, the Council of Nicene. So, I'm just quoting what it says in the Bible. I think I have the New International Version, but actually I could look it up. And Jacob 321 Boom says, and they took it from the Sumerians. Took what from the Sumerians? Yeah, Curly, that's another comment that I often address. He says, if Adam and Eve were the first people, where did the people from the land of Nod come from? Very good call there. Let me just put this out there. I'm not religious. I have read the Bible, and this topic is coming from that concept of the Bible, but the whole concept of the fall of man has really pervaded our culture, and so that's what I'm talking about, more than actual biblical meaning or translations. I don't want to get into a biblical debate. I think that there are a lot of contradictions there, and I am definitely not religious. I am a student of history and a student of humanity, and unfortunately religion has had a huge impact on humanity and what we think about and talk about. So that's why I'm talking about this topic, not to have a religious debate. Non-religious people are more religious than religious people. Well, I don't know. I don't consider myself religious. I don't attend church, and I get information from a lot of other sources beyond the Bible. Like I said, it's been 9 years since I read it, so this topic isn't so much about the Bible. It's about our cultural, kind of embedded cultural belief or story of the fall of man, of this whole mythos that's kind of pervaded our culture. So Jacob 321 Boom said, and they took it from the Sumerians. What did they take? That's what my question for you is. Oh, biblical literature. Yeah, some of that text that's included in the Bible, it goes back to the Sumerian culture for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Christmas definitely our traditional celebration of Christmas that we have in this country anyway is definitely based more on pagan rituals and traditions than it is on anything to do with Christianity or with biblical traditions. Although the giving of gifts comes from the biblical, the three wise men bringing gifts to the baby child, Jesus. But as far as like the Santa Claus and the Christmas tree, with pine and being all decorated and stuff, that's definitely a pagan influence. If there was a guy named Jesus, he was one heck of a salesman. Well, my take on Jesus, actually, you gotta realize Jesus didn't assemble the Bible. In fact, at the time he was alive, the majority of it wasn't even written. Jesus, my take on Jesus, if he was a historical figure, there's so much debate about that. But my take on him is that he was a fully awakened human being, and I do believe that he was a rebel against the systems and ideology of the times. He went against dogma, so I identify with him in that regards. I'm not a fan of dogma of any sort, of just following tradition because it's tradition, not questioning why, as this show is all about, question your reality. I don't know about all this discussion about, have you ever seen a poor Jew? Let's see what the Jews do to Iran next. All this stuff. Kind of off the topic here, folks. This is not a race or religion bashing show. Please, please keep the discussion to the topic, or at least to naked life coaching. I don't know if I believe, like I said earlier, I think that everything's one energy, it's all connected. That's what we would call God, and in that sense, all of us are God's people. So again, I don't subscribe to any belief that one religion is more valid than another or anything like that. And Jacob321 Boom said, if we tip, do we get boobs? Well, if you do tip, I would really appreciate it. As far as this show goes, like I said earlier, it's not a sex cam show. I don't respond to requests as far as like showing people different parts of my body or whatever. I do appreciate tips. But so any other questions? We got about 10 minutes left. Then I'm going to wrap it up and get to answer my private messages. So like I said, if you guys are interested in getting a personal coaching session, again, just to make clear, this is Naked Life Coaching. Oh, thank you, Jacob. I appreciate it. Just to make clear, this is Naked Life Coaching, and it's not a sex show. My sessions are private coaching sessions. They're not hands-on sex coaching, although I do coach clients on sexual issues if that's something you want to address. No topic is taboo with me. Just saying, as far as this show goes, that's not what this is about, and that's not what my sessions are about. I will coach you on anything you would like to receive coaching on. I've helped tons of people overcome their stress, overcome illness, overcome anxiety. I've worked with words don't fail me now. I've worked with PTSD. I've worked with pretty much anything and everything that you can imagine. I've helped people change and overcome in their life. Relationships, health, fitness, wealth, starting a business. I've been an entrepreneur for, since I was about 10 years old, so 27 years now. I've got quite a lot of experience in that. I successfully raised my 19-year-old daughter. She's moved out, living on her own, going to college now, and I had the gamut of relationships from purely monogamous to open to everything in between. So I'm a very good relationship coach. I'm great at teaching communication skills and really just opening your mind to the options that exist. A lot of times we feel our choices are constricted because we're not aware that there's other options. So I've read, oh my gosh, if I had to total up, I'd probably say I've read over 6,000 books in my life. So if you can name it, I've probably got some knowledge of or experience of it. What else? Yes, I've worked with people that have disabilities. Gentle Heart said, what about people who have a disability and struggle with that? Yes, absolutely. I've worked with people that have disabilities. I think there's a whole list on my website if you want to take a look and get more information. My website is thenakedlifecoach.com, and there's a ton of information on there. There's links where you can get my books. Again, I have 2 of them. I don't have the third one here with me. I sold them all, so I got to order some more. But I've got 3 books published so far, and I'm working on books 4, 5, and 6. I'm thinking of my next 2, writing about how to do a mental cleanse, how to manage emotional issues, whether it's fear, stress, depression, anxiety, anger management, you name it. I have studied neuro-linguistic programming, if you're familiar with that. I've had an interest and a desire, and I've been studying metaphysics and psychology and sociology and really, I guess everything that pertains to human potential. That's my passion. So I really love helping people open up their lives and really just experience living an amazing life, because you're here, why not have the best? Why not have the best life possible? How about, I want to just give a shout out and thanks to everybody that's logged in. So thank you guys all for joining us, and be sure to tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel, 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Wednesdays. I will be here talking naked philosophy again.
'Cause I'm losing all doubt and fear when I'm